Hey everyone, this is Mark Heatherman coming to you regarding a new product that I've been introduced for the sports world, but more specifically I'll talk about hockey. As many of you will know, I'm the owner-operator of NASHA, which has been providing protection for spring hockey teams, hockey schools, and tournaments and leagues for 10 years. As part of that last 10 years, I also have owned a couple of junior hockey teams, been a GM for the Burlington Cougars, a junior hockey team in Ontario, and have seen a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about here impact players' health, impact families involved in the game. This product I have nothing to do with from an ownership standpoint or a promotion standpoint, except that I think it's an amazing product and I wanted to bring it to everyone that I talk to in the hockey business. It's an app called Players Health. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail. There is going to be a video following my introduction here that you can see everything on that product. But it is an app that tracks injuries in sports for children and for adults as well. But, you know, primarily our focus is children, and tracks their injuries throughout their whole life so that we can know what's going on when we have players coming to our team, especially as they get a little bit older, get into contact. You know, one of the reasons I'm most passionate about this is one of the teams that I own. We had a 16-year-old player come to our team. We had no idea of his past. They had not been brought up to us, and that player had concussions in the past, got a real bad concussion while playing for our team. If we'd had knowledge of that, we may have been able to handle the situation differently. I think it's just vital that every injury that a player has is passed on. Concussions being number one today for sure, being able to give that information to any medical staff that are attending to players on the ice, or ambulances that come to the rink to deal with an injury. Even outside of concussions, dealing with any injury, of broken bones and shoulders, things like that that are kind of traditional in hockey world and other sports, to know that they've had a similar injury in the past, that they've had something that might impact the way they're going to be treated on the ice and being taken to the hospital. So I just wanted to give a little introduction to the product. Like I say, there's going to be a video to follow, talk about it, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I think it's a product that needs to be out there. Families need to have it. Teams need to have it. It needs to be something that everybody that's playing in these sports, their information, their injuries, their past is all relevant to what will happen in the future. I'm also big about men's hockey as well, particularly. Been around men's hockey for a long time. A lot of guys not 21 anymore. A lot of guys not in the same shape as they were at 21. You know, they're just playing a game with a couple referees there. There's no medical staff around. You know, often I've seen players being dealt with by other players on the team. It would be fantastic to know that players had health issues in the past of any kind, to help deal with that, to know whether to call an ambulance immediately, these kinds of things. Everybody carries a phone these days. That's why this app is so important in my mind. That everybody carries. It's very easy to access the records off of it. You know, if you're the manager of a team, you can have all the information from each player so we can address those previous injuries when we're dealing with something new. So I would ask you to take a look at the video. The initial app that you download is free. I think it's just fantastic for sports, especially I can speak about hockey. I'm sure others in major sports that have a lot of injuries like football. You know, again, would be a tremendous app to have available all the time. So please watch the video. If you're interested, you can contact the people that own Players Health directly. Don't need to go through me, but I did want to do an introduction to it. So thank you very much, and enjoy watching this and help promote it to everybody you know, as well as downloading it yourself.
I think youth sports made me the person of who I am today. And I want to make sure that any athlete that plays youth sports has the best experience possible. Injuries are a huge part of that. Their health is a part of that. Their happiness is a part of that. Because most kids, they just want to play. When they get hurt, they'll do anything to get back on that field again. I just want to make sure that they have the best resources, the right content, the right data, so that we can make the best decisions on how we get them back on the field. I think every athlete in America should have a player's health record. But right now, there are about 50% of all of our injuries that we have in youth sports are preventable. Can we reduce that by half by 2020? That's my goal. We believe that caring for them today allows them to be able to have a better life later. I started Players Health as my own personal journey. I played youth football and I was able to play professionally for a number of years. But when I was about 15, I got hit with my head down. I was catching a slow ball. I got hit. I was paralyzed on the turf for about 30, 45 minutes, couldn't move. And then miraculously, everything started to come back. Got up, walked off. My coach was like, hey, I think you have a stinger. You're fine. A year later, I had the exact same injury happen to me. Come to find out, I had 3 bulging discs in my neck. I had been playing with that condition for an entire year. That injury led to lower back injuries, hamstring injuries, and ultimately led to the end of my career. I was playing for Saskatchewan Roughriders, and I had just tore my hamstring off my tibia. I was on crutches. I was depressed, and I was like, what's next? I had an injury-riddled season at that point, and I was just like, I need to figure out a way to make this better for youth. As a professional athlete, there was nothing that I didn't have. When it came to medical support, equipment, facilities, youth sports, they don't have a fraction of what most professional or collegiate athletes have, for that matter. And I was really passionate about making sure that youth athletes have some resources to help them when it comes to managing their health, so that they one day could become not a professional athlete, but just be able to run around with their kids when they need to, basically.
Yeah, in this case, he had broke his thumb. So we just have that as a past injury. So here's his active, so nothing wrong today. But then with the inactive. I found it very interesting that Tyree would have this vision to say, look, there has to be a better way for documenting injuries. The Players Health application addresses that need. We had a kid that was in school and they had fallen backwards in their chair and sustained a concussion that way. We don't think of those things as coaches and everything out here, but as parents, they can say, look, I'm going to communicate this. My son sustained a concussion in school and just want to communicate that to you. Okay, the coach knows what to look for then. We need to adapt to the times. And we need something that's going to be easy to communicate, easy to record injuries and risks, and be able to document those things in a way that is easy for the coach, is easy for the parents, and also helps to minimize the risk for the organization.
Players Health is a health management platform. It's an application that an organization purchases. That parent puts in the initial information that they put in that paper form when they first sign their kid up for sports. So the kid has diabetes, asthma, nut allergy. What do we do when these things happen? Coach can open it up, can view all this information. And then when injuries happen, the coach documents what happened. I think the best thing of what we're doing here at Players Health, and my job of starting this company, is that we're creating something that has never existed before. Most organizations in youth sports don't even document injuries, period. If I asked a youth sports organization right now how many concussions they had last year, they couldn't tell me. So in terms of the data, we're at nothing. And Players Health is building a really strong foundation for how we view injuries long term. We had a youth football club implement our system, and they were able to see that 31% of their injuries were head injuries. Well, why is that important? Well, because as youth athletes, especially football, that first 3 weeks of camp or practice, they're just learning the game. They're just learning how to get hit. All of these injuries is when they happen the most. So maybe from having that data, we should bring in hitting a little bit later into the practices or weeks. Getting organizations to understand is that the next level of support for health is important, and it's going to save these kids' lives. I think being able to work with a team, the ability to be able to bounce back when you don't win all the games, right? Being resilient, all of these are attributes as an entrepreneur that you need to have to be successful. The odds are against you to be a professional athlete. The odds are also against you to be successful in startups. 9 out of every 10 startups fail. I'm used to those odds and I'm comfortable with them. So I think me being an athlete helped me be able to, weather the storm and build a company like this. But understand that it's not gonna be perfect, and that if we stay focused, disciplined, and we work with our team, we'll be successful.